It's Batman time! Hello, welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the Mafex Batman Bane in the Knightfall version, which is the best version. Classic looking Bane, and actually Knightfall, one of my favorite comic book series of all time, because it introduced Azrael, and it also introduced this giant hunk of man. Big, veiny, muscly dude. I had to check it out because one, I love the character, and two, this just looks amazing from the size, the detail in it. But my history with Mafex has, for me, some of the Mafex figures I picked up have been absolutely disappointing and others have been amazing. So let's see where Bane fits in. Let's get into the review. And if you're wondering why I'm sounding a little bit weird, it's the allergy still catching up with me. Of course, on the day I decide to record something in a while, but he stands size of the Bane. He stands about 19 centimeters to the top of his head, so he does have pretty good size, as he should. And a little shy of 7.5, 7.4 inches tall. Size comparisons.
Here's Jolter, the SH Figure Arts Son Goku, Mafex Hush Batman, the Knightfall Azrael, Storm Collectibles, Injustice, Bane, and Darkseid.
Overall, look in detail. His head's too big. It really depends on the pose. If you got him like in a neutral pose, it really stands out like a sore thumb. But I feel like if you got some cool action poses, like from the side and whatnot, you know, kind of looking down, it looks a little bit better, but it can't be... I can't just ignore it. Like, I looked at it for a long time, and I looked also at some artwork and whatnot, but it's just a little bit too much. And the other thing is, maybe, just maybe, his muscles aren't big enough. I know, crazy, right? He's big and bulky, but also that's another fact which depends really on how much venom he pumps into himself. Depends on which artist drew Bane during, like, the Knightfall saga. You have, like, really the exaggerated Kelly Jones and whatnot, which this is obviously not what this is supposed to be, but, you know, there's different artworks, so it's debatable if it's too big or whatnot, but I still think the head should have been a tiny bit smaller. So, overall look in detail for the figure, we have the mask, which already has a little bit of paint issues, which we do have some small paint slips here and there, but I want to also highlight the good things. I love that his red eyes are just a little bit glossy. Same with the zipper on the top. This one is super duper nicely cleaned and molded. So props for that. And then we have the entire Venom device, which hooks right into his head. Let me turn it around real quick so I don't have to see it from upside down. Also has a zipper opened on the neck of his mask. And then you have the wire, just like soft plastic, which goes down. As you can tell also, they just painted a ton of hair on it. And this is only painted on, this is not molded on. But we do have some molded muscle detail. Look at the shirt. And then in the front, beautifully done because of the shading. I always say it, beautiful shading elevates an excellent mold. And I think the mold has a bunch of cool like muscle detail and veins going on throughout it. But the shading is really what makes it extra special. Then we have the big biceps, have once again some veins in there. And then we have some more painted hair on. Do have the hands. I do have just like the open grabbing hand over here. A little bit of bleeding going on all throughout it, and I think there was also some in the tank top. The tank top doesn't line up 100%. It's small issues though, but it's also an expensive figure. I'm just saying. Now moving on to the floaty belt, which is soft plastic. Looks kind of metallic, but not too much. I mean, it is soft plastic, so there's always a limit of how well you can paint it. And then down to the pants which have a lot more detail, molded detail in there, and the shiny boots. Two more things, well, actually the same thing that they recreated twice. Why is the elbow molded like that? It almost seems like it's hair on there, but well, maybe his elbow is just kind of shrinkled up, which you can debate and say, okay, maybe for the elbow, I think that's fine. But what about the kneecaps? Like, the kneecaps don't really look like that, especially not when you're wearing pants. It's just weird, and it's a small detail once again, but it just kind of bothered me. The other thing, you know, I guess I'll just mention it now before I get to the articulation. The way they engineered his chest, or more like the torso area, isn't great. So articulation wise, we'll have a look at it in just a second, and you can shift it back and forth, but as soon as you move it back, you have this weird gap because it folds in like that, and that just doesn't look good. I'm not a big fan of it because the pen, like, it just, in a neutral pose, great, but as soon as you bend it just a little bit, boom, we have the gap and like just this hole over there where there's nothing going on, kind of breaking up the muscle work. Like, look at this, how weird the abs now look. Unfortunate. Now for your articulation, first things first, he's also nice and tight, which for some Mafex figures, that's been a common issue for me with copies I have in the past, but starting off with the head sculpt, moves back and forth quite nicely on its own. We have a lot of range on that, also side to side, and well, it would go all the way around, but be careful with the wire. That's like just soft plastic that is connected onto his big biceps, but it's long enough. I've moved him around for a little bit, I never had any issue with it. So then we also have neck articulation, as you can tell. Let me hold on to that, bring some more to it, so we combine that, moves forward quite nicely to the back, and also helps, well, it doesn't really go side to side because of his big neck muscles. Then we have the shoulder joint, which is a lot like Figma. We have like a ball which is connected in there, and it moves a little bit up and down. You have some rotation in there. However, it's not like an SH Figure Arts, for example, where you have this entire butterfly joint, which I expected it to rotate out even more, but it doesn't. So that's as much force movement as you get, unfortunately. It's still decent enough, but really could have done a little bit more. Then we have the big hinge in there, looks nice, and we have the big bicep, can swivel that around, no issues there. Also with like big bulky muscly dudes, sometimes this tends to get stuck, but nice and fluid movement. And we have the double ball hinge in the elbow and a simple ball hinge in the fist area. That's not a double ball hinge, that's just a double hinge, to correct myself. Then we have the weird chest joint. I mean, backward movement, again, it is pretty fine, even though it looks like he has just some weird fat going on over there. Moves forward quite nicely for some menacing poses. I love this. And also does tilt side to side and does go all the way around. Quite nimble for the big, beefy dude. And the belt, as you probably knows already, it is floaty. You have the crotch piece, which is soft, but there's like a lot going on in there, so can bring this back and forth. Let me hold on to this. Back and forth quite nicely. Side to side, swivels all the way around, and then for the boots, the legs actually, that's a very impressive kick, I gotta say, for such a big dude. Moves out to the side, and you have, oh yeah, we have one of those hinges in there, so you can bring it down. And doesn't, well, it would go to the back, but the butt is getting in the way due to the soft plastic, though you can force it a little bit, but don't do it too much. I wanted to look at another thing. Yeah, the crotch piece, in some of the promo pictures, it looked like the crotch piece is going down way too far. But yeah, that's not even the issue. I don't know, did they pull the crotch piece down on those pictures for whatever reason? Double hinge knee moves up all the way and does have a little bit, like, I love the gap in the back over here because it looks natural. Often with like hinges like that, they like hollow it out way too much and make it look unnatural. Here it's like even molded and nicely looking. Also some bonus points for that, for keeping the look. And then the big boot is, I think, just on the hinge, back and forth. And ooh, side to side tilting. Not really. I mean, somewhat, but it could be better. So it can bring that back and forth. And also you do have a toe hinge. As far as accessories goes, Mafex sticks to the basics. And I mean, it's pretty good, except for the base. I don't really like the base. It's too big, but you have like 3 holes, which you can just put in this hole and then connect any of these grabby arms to it. So you have like the regular grabby arm, which can be once again connected to the other grabby. You have like 2 options over here. I have like what I call the crotch grabbing piece, so you can cradle it nice and tightly around the crotch piece. But if you don't like that, just take that off and just connect it to the regular piece, and then you can connect it to the arm, which has a bunch of hinges in it. Can bring that back and forth, up and down. Well, actually just up and down, but. And then you connect it to the base, and boom, there you go. You can play around with that, and you also have this, where's the other arm? This one. Which is a lot bigger. And it stays together nicely. You also have like the screw. If you're always like wondering how to make this tighter, just screw it up. But be careful, not to break it off. Then we have an angry face, which I'm absolutely in love with it. You have like the small detail between his eyes as he gets super duper pissed. Unfortunately, the paint kind of falls apart on top. What a shame. Speaking of paint mishaps, what happened over here? Where did that finger go? Mr. Bane, but also you have like the grabby hands, like the more open grabby hands, like a bunch of grabby hands, but it fits because it's Bane and then like more aggressive grabbing. Those are all like well open kind of grabbing. Pointy fingers, and finally chop hands. So again, basic stuff, but you get like a lot of hands for poses and the base, and it's a really cool face sculpt. Final thoughts, and it's another Mafex figure, which means it's always the same. I don't want to rag on it too much, and I don't want to be too negative, but this figure has a lot of small issues, and if you pile the small issues up, they become a bigger issue. So first of all, head's too big, maybe the chest could be bigger. Then there's like the weird engineering issues with the chest there, with the torso area. Then they have like the elbow and knee parts, which look kind of weird. Also, like playing around with the figure, I feel like the ankle pivots could have been a little bit better. And you know, that's like 5 things already. Also, like there's some little bit of bleeding here and there. Again, not big, huge issues that prevent me from enjoying this figure. However, it's just kind of annoying that this keeps happening with Mafex, and whenever I pick something up from them, I think the figure is good. But it's like in the middle. It's not great, but it's also not crap. And that's just the best way to put it before I just ramble on any longer. Do I recommend this guy? It's hard to recommend something that's mid, right? If you're a big Bane fan, I think this is alright. If you're not a big Bane fan, I think you can probably skip this one. You good with that? I hope so, because that's all I have. Otherwise, I'm just going to ramble on for another hour. So that's going to do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever Bane wants.